In this video, I'm going to show you the 5 best office chairs under $800, starting with the lowest price chair on our list, the Eurotech Vera. The Vera comes in at a starting price of $559.99, just under $600 if you do decide to upgrade to the headrest. But I will say I'm not a huge fan of the headrest. It doesn't have any adjustability, and I feel like it just gets in the way. So if you're looking for a chair specifically for a headrest, I'd probably avoid the Vera. But it does do a lot of other things very well, starting with just the overall comfort of the chair. This chair is tested very well in specific comfort categories that we look for, like seat, back, and arms. The backrest being one of the most comfortable backrests that we've tested. A very simple design, but a great curve to support the natural curvature of your spine. The mesh is soft, and so it allows you to kind of sink in. I'll unlock it here. And so when you recline, it's very, very comfortable. Your back is supported through the entire recline, all the way up until your mid-upper back. And because the mesh allows you to sink in, it's nice, soft, and cozy. And this is one of the few chairs that is designed in a way where you really don't need an additional lumbar support option because the curve just supports you so well. One thing that I will say about the back is that the mesh is a bit coarse just because it's not the highest quality mesh. And so if you wear things like sweaters, things that have a lot of lint, it is prone to kind of pulling that off on the mesh, so that's definitely something to keep in mind. Seat, I'm also a very big fan of just because it's very well padded, nice and thick, and it doesn't have any hard edges around the sides, so you're allowed to sit in the seat however you want, cross-legged, one leg up, or just in perfect posture like they want you to sit. The arms, same story, not super thick cush padding, but enough to be soft, enough to not be uncomfortable on your elbow or your forearm, and they have a nice roll design on the edges to keep you from having that hard edge that might cut off your circulation. So overall, just a very comfortable chair. The Vera also has a very nice adjustability package, starting with the synchro tilt mechanism. It's got a very smooth recline and a very responsive tension control, so you can make it easier or more difficult to recline depending on how you want to sit in the chair. And you're also going to get several locking positions, so if you want to just lock it in one static position, you can do that, and you're going to have a few positions to choose from. You also get seat depth adjustment. I believe it's right here. Yep. So you can move the seat in and out to ensure that you have that proper ergonomic position with the seat edge behind the back of your legs. And then you're also going to get a nice 4-way arm package with height adjustment, depth adjustment, width adjustment, and then a pivot. So overall, just a very adjustable chair, especially for the price point. Eurotech also gives the Vera a nice warranty, so you're going to get a limited lifetime warranty on the entire chair with the exception of the fabric and foam, but that's still going to be covered for 5 years. Next up, we've got the BTOD Akir chair, and this chair has a starting price of $579.99. If you do decide to add the headrest like we have here, it'll be right around that $650 mark. Now, like the Vera, the Akir is another chair that has been doing very well in all of our comfort testing, mainly because of the seat design. The seat really kind of carries the Akir, and it's just because it is so soft. You can see that when I push into the foam, very thick, very padded, and I definitely sink into this chair. This is one of the few chairs on the market that has a thick padded seat, just because most ergonomic chairs are designed with a thinner, more firm seat pad. So if you want something with a thick padded seat, this is definitely a chair to consider. Also very comfortable backrest. You can see it supports me all the way up through my upper back, and you are going to get a height adjustable lumbar support system. It's not a ton of support. It's not a super pronounced curve, and it doesn't push into your back, but I find it to be comfortable, and I like the height adjustment so that I can dial it in. The arms are also comfortable, a little bit softer than the Vera arms that we just looked at, so they are comfortable to put your arm, forearm, elbow against, and they do have rounded edges, so they're not going to cut off your circulation if you do happen to put your arm or wrist on that portion of the chair. The Akir also has a good adjustment package. With the seat, you're going to get simple height adjustment, and it does have a good range, goes really high for those tall people. You can see my feet dangle. And then it does go low enough to fit me at 5'9". And then you're also going to get a seat depth adjustment to slide the seat in and out, which is nice to ensure that ergonomic position. And then you're also going to get a 4-way arm package with arm height adjustment, arm depth adjustment, width adjustment, and then a pivot. So a ton of different positions you can put these arms in. And then you're also going to get multiple locking positions with your synchro tilt mechanism. So you can see the chair has a nice fluid synchro tilt recline. And then if you want to, you can lock it in one of several positions throughout the range. And you're also going to get a tension adjustment to control how easy or difficult it is to recline. Now, you're going to get a headrest, pivot, and height adjustment if you do decide to add this. You can see it has a good height range, and it also pivots to ensure that you can get it in that nice curve of your neck. And I will say that this headrest is very comfortable. I'm not usually a fan of headrests, but this one supports you through the entire recline. One thing to keep in mind though, is you can't really not use the headrest once you add it just because it is pretty far forward. It's supportive all the time, but you do have to use it all the time. So keep that in mind. If you don't always want to use your headrest, this might not be the best option. Last adjustment, like we've already touched on, is going to be the lumbar height adjustment here to help you dial in that back support. And like the Vera, you're going to get a limited lifetime warranty on the Akir chair with 5 years of coverage on that foam and fabric. Next up, we've got the Herman Miller Lino, which as configured, this chair that we have here is $745, and we upgraded to the fully adjustable arms, the lumbar support, but we were not able to add the seat depth adjustment. Ordering the Lino is a little bit tricky because depending on the fabric and the backrest that you select dictates what functions you can choose. So the chair is configured, is almost fully loaded, and it's around $750, but you can increase or decrease the price quite a bit by just changing the options. So overall, it's a pretty comfortable chair. I would say that it hasn't tested quite as well as a chair like the Vera in terms of comfort, and that's going to be mainly due to the seat because the seat is very firm. So it has good quality padding, it's just very firm to sit in, so it's not going to be quite as cushy or quite as soft as the Akir or the Vera or most chairs for that matter. And so that's one thing to think about, but it does have a very forgiving seat, no hard edges, so you can use the chair however you want. But I will say that unless you upgrade to the best options, you can't get the seat slider, which is one thing that is definitely lacking on this chair because you can see that the seat is quite a bit too shallow for me. I can fit almost all 4 fingers under there, and you really want that to be 2 or 3. So anyone taller than me is going to definitely need that seat depth adjustment on the Lino. One thing I do like about the chair is the backrest. The mesh on this chair is very soft. You can really push into it. It really allows your back to sink in. And I do like the lumbar support. It doesn't cover a huge horizontal range, but it does give you a nice vertical range, and you can move it up and down. And I do find this to be very supportive. I'm not a huge fan of pronounced lumbar, so this is right in my wheelhouse, something that I definitely like. And I just like the overall curve of the backrest, the way that it can sink in, similar to the Vera chair, but just that added lumbar support. Now, the arms are going to be similar to the previous chairs that we looked at. They've got a little bit of softness to them, but they're not going to be the same type of quality as, say, upgrading to the Embody or the Aeron, which are also Herman Miller chairs. But you do get nice soft edges, rounded edges, so no circulation getting cut off. Overall, I do find the pads to be soft enough to be comfortable while I was using them. Even though the Lino is one of the least expensive Herman Miller chairs, you're still getting good adjustments. Starting with a good seat height range, it goes very low. I believe it's 16 inches, and then up to about 21 inches, covering that 5th to 95th percentile. I already touched on this. It doesn't have seat depth, so if you're 5'9" or taller than me, that's definitely something that you're going to want to look for on this chair and look to upgrade that. You do get a nice recline package, a nice synchro tilt mechanism. It doesn't have the auto harmonic tilt like a Aeron or Embody, but it's half the price. So that's something to think about. You're still getting a very high-end base, very high-end recline, and you're going to get multiple tilt limiter positions, which just means that it's going to limit the range that you can use the chair in instead of locking it in one position. You also have a very, very responsive tension knob, and it's very unique because it actually clicks into each position instead of just rotating freely. So it has a limited amount of times that you can turn it, but each turn you can really feel the difference. So you can really dial in that tension. And that's one thing that I really like about this chair because not all chairs have a nice tension adjustment. Next thing we're going to look at is going to be the arms. You're going to get a 3-way adjustment package on the Lino with height adjustment, width adjustment, and then depth adjustment. Now, you're not going to get that pivot adjustment, but I didn't really find it to be one of those things that I was missing when using the chair just because they do have a good adjustment range with all the adjustments, and I found them to be comfortable with whatever I was doing in the chair. The last thing that we're going to look at is going to be the lumbar adjustment, which we've already touched on a bit, but you do get a nice height adjustment range. Most lumbars don't adjust in this big of a range, so you can really dial it in depending on where you would prefer to feel that support. And you can switch it up during the day, which is kind of nice, and have different support in different areas as you're working. One noticeable difference when going from a chair like the Vera or the Akir to the Lino in the Herman Miller lineup is just going to be the overall build quality. Herman Miller makes some of the best built chairs on the market, and the Lino is definitely in line with that, especially for the price that you're paying. You're getting top of the line components, very good build quality, and it's a good looking chair, and it's going to be backed by Herman Miller's 12-year warranty, the same warranty that you get on the Aeron or the Embody. So very well built chair and a very solid warranty to protect your investment. The next chair we're looking at is going to be the Steelcase Series 2, fully loaded with the headrest edition. This is going to be $754 currently on Steelcase's website. If you want to save a little bit of money, you can back off on some of the adjustments or options that you can add. Now, this is going to be similar to the Lino chair that we just looked at in terms of build quality and warranty. Steelcase, like Herman Miller, makes some of the best chairs on the market, and a ton of the components on the Series 2 are shared components from some of their best chairs. So overall, another very well-built chair backed by another amazing warranty, 12 years of coverage on the entire chair. So another chair that's going to last a long time for you and really be a good investment overall. Now, when looking at things like comfort, it is going to vary depending on what you look at and depending on what your preferences are. First thing that I want to talk about is just the seat. The seat has similar vibes to the Lino in that it is one of the firmest seats that have come through our doors. It has good padding and you don't feel like you're bottoming out, but it's a very firm sitting experience. So if you don't like a really firm seat, then I'd probably look towards a different chair that we've focused on, or if you want to stick with Steelcase, look for something like the Amiya. But overall, it's going to be a forgiving seat like the Lino. It doesn't have any hard edges, so you can use it however you want. It's just going to be a more firm sitting experience. The backrest actually has really pronounced lumbar, and if you upgrade to the lumbar option, you can get height adjustment to make it even more comfortable. It has a nice natural curve, but it's definitely going to be more pronounced than a lot of chairs. All three of the chairs that we've just looked at previously are going to be a little bit toned down in terms of lumbar support as compared to the Series 2, but if you like a lot of lumbar support, then this can be a nice option, especially in this price range. The one thing that I'm a really big fan of in terms of comfort on the Series 2 is going to be the arm pads. These are the same arm pads that you get on the Leap, on the Amiya, on the Think. Great arm pads on this chair. Very well padded, soft on the edges, soft throughout. Everywhere that you put your arm on these pads, it's going to be comfortable. So you're getting top of the line arm pads on a mid-priced chair. We'll take a quick look at the adjustments, starting with the seat adjustments. Another chair with a very good height range, goes really low and high, covering that 5th to 95th percentile, and it does have seat depth adjustment, really allowing you to dial that in and make sure it's in an ergonomic position. Now, one unique thing about this chair is going to be the recline function, and this is one area that Steelcase was able to save money by producing the chair, because everything from under the seat down is shared with the Series 1, which is the chair a tier below it. And so you're not going to get that nice recline function that we see on most Steelcase chairs. It's going to be the same as the Series 1, which I'm not a huge fan of, and I'll show you how it works. So you can either have 3 positions, locked fully upright, full open in like a medium tension, or full open in a really loose tension. And so what I don't like about this first is the motion, because this is not a comfortable motion to always be rocking in, and this motion right here isn't the most comfortable in my opinion either. It's just kind of putting you in this neutral position instead of rocking you back like a lot of chairs will with a knee tilt or synchro tilt or auto harmonic tilt from Herman Miller. And I'm also not a fan of how loose the tension is, because even on the medium setting, it's very, very easy for me to recline, and I recline unintentionally, and I'm only about 5'9", 180 pounds. So if you're bigger or taller than me, this is going to be an even bigger problem. So most of the time, you're probably just going to use it fully upright, locked like this. So overall, make sure to consider the way that you like to recline, because this might not be the best fit for you. One really good thing this chair has going for it, though, is going to be its armrest adjustment. Like we touched on earlier, getting the same arm package as the Leap, which we've rated as some of the best arms out there. So you're going to get height adjustment, depth adjustment, width adjustment, and pivot with this extra little articulating motion, which gives you some of the most adjustable arms on the market on a mid to lower end Steelcase chair, which is a huge bonus in my opinion. The Series 2 also has optional lumbar height adjustment that you can add. We touched on it earlier. It's a little difficult to do from a sitting position. You kind of have to lean forward, but as you can see, it can be done. Struggling a little bit, but it does have a good height range, so you can really get it in the spot that's most comfortable for you. The last thing we're going to look at is the headrest. The headrest isn't a super great option for tasking just because it doesn't come into contact with your head and neck while working, but it does have height adjustment, and it is useful when you are fully reclined and wanting to kick back and relax. It will be supportive and be comfortable in this position. The last chair we're going to take a look at today is going to be the most expensive option on our list, coming in at $794 when fully loaded, is the Haworth Vera chair. Now, this is the most expensive chair, but it should be the most expensive chair. It's the most well-built and it has the most adjustments. So overall, you are getting a very nice chair from Haworth, and it will be backed by their amazing warranty, falling right in line with Steelcase and Herman Miller, covering the chair for 12 years. Now, when looking at the overall comfort of the chair, the seat has a similar firmness to the Lino and the Series 2. I will say that it's a little bit softer though, and I do prefer it to both of those two chairs. Still on the firm side, but I did find it to be comfortable for the majority of the time that I used the chair. It's also very forgiving, no hard edges or anything like that, so you can really use the chair however you want. The backrest, it provides good support in my opinion. You can really feel the lumbar support. You can dial it in with multiple adjustments. The mesh is soft and the frame is flexible. One thing that I will say is that at times it feels like the mesh is a little too soft, especially when I'm reclining, just because my dimensions fit perfectly to kind of poke into the mesh and sink in a little too much, which allows me to feel the upper part of the frame and the sides of the frame when I'm almost all the way back in this area here. So if you've got similar dimensions to me, 5'9", 180 pounds, you might have a similar experience with the backrest. But overall, I still think that it is very comfortable, very supportive. Looking at the arms, I do really like the arms on this chair. You're definitely getting good padding. They're soft, rounded corners, no hard edges. So overall, just a nice arm package as well. The Vera has a nice adjustment package overall. We'll first start out with the seat. It's got a good seat height range, 16 to 21 inches, maybe even a little bit taller. You can see how high it goes. My feet actually come off the ground. And then it also has seat depth adjustment with this tab here with a good range there as well. Now, one unique thing about this chair is going to be the way that it reclines. So you can see the recline is a standard synchro tilt mechanism. It's a very smooth, very nice mechanism. It feels very easy to recline, but it has 3 modes which are very unique. Haworth has some unique bases, and this is no exception, so I'll just show you what I mean here. So in the first setting here, you can see the seat is pretty flat, and it allows me to be in the full recline range. It doesn't lock anywhere. If I push the tab down one spot, it now gives me the full range, but instead of bringing me all the way up to a flat position, it leaves me here slightly reclined. And now this is my new range, so a slightly more relaxed reclined range. And now if I want to put it all the way back, it gives me a locked position in this recline range. So it's almost like a work and relax mode, in my opinion, because you put it forward and the backrest comes all the way up with you, your back is fully upright, and you can be in a nice tasking position. But if you want to kind of kick back, relax, watch some content, watch a movie, chill out, you can be in this nice relaxed position here. So I really like the dual mode control on this mechanism, and it's not something that we see on any other mechs besides Haworth mechs, so pretty cool option there. The Vera has a nice armrest adjustment package, second only to the Series 2 on this list, but they are still 4-way adjustable and the ranges are really big. So you get a nice height adjustment range, width adjustment, depth adjustment, and a pivot adjustment. So these should be highly adjustable enough to be comfortable in almost any working or relaxing position that you're going to use the arms in. The final thing that we're going to look at is the lumbar adjustment, which I'm a huge fan of on the Vera because it has a really unique depth adjustment system. So I'll show you the height adjustment up and down. You can see it has a nice big range all the way up to the middle part of my back, all the way down almost to my butt. And then you do have 2 tabs here. And what this does is it changes the tension on one side of the lumbar. So you can independently change how much support you have on each side of your back, which is a very unique adjustment. We've only seen this on a few chairs. If this wasn't the price range you're looking for, check out this other video.